This program is financially supported by the fundings from the European Commission.
You are listening to the Ebu Access Cast, the first official podcast from European Blind Union about assistive technology for blind and partially sighted people. And here are the hosts.
Welcome to the 24th episode of the Ebu Access Cast. This is the last episode before our summer break. My name is Mario Percinic. I'm coming from Luxembourg. With me today, well, some old and some new faces. I have Pavel Masarczyk from Poland. Hello, man.
And that's the old face among us. Hello.
Yeah. And we have some new faces because, as some of you probably know and saw on the Twitter, we published the ad to look for new people who would like to contribute in our podcast, and we have to say huge thanks to everybody who submitted their vacancies to us. It was really nice to see all of those vacancies and talk to you, all of you, and some of the people are already here today, so and you will see some more faces in September as well. But except Pavel and me, today we have not one but two people from Barcelona, Spain. They are Xavier Ciscar.
Hello, I am one of the new faces, as you say. Very nice to be here with you. Very pleased.
And David Ciscar as well.
Hello, Hello, how are you? And greetings to all the people listening these podcasts. Let's see how we can contribute to give another perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we published actually all of the thing that we are looking for new contributors, because we would like to expand our team with new people from new countries so we can bring some new approach to the show. And yeah, so welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, may I ask you to shortly introduce yourself? What are you doing in your life?
Well, I have been working much time of my life in the printing house in Barcelona from Once. Now I am in a school library working with kids, always related to Braille. So I am a Brailleist. Actually, I could define myself as a Brailleist. And I like accessibility and technology. And I work in a group as a volunteer called Sub Poma. It began 8 years ago, and we collaborate with each other to teach people who wants to know things about. Mainly it began with Apple, but now we're expanding because Apple is the way, not the aim. So, we have a podcast, we have a web page, we have meetings, and we have a yearly event called Avalon, where we share experiences, talks, and everything like that. So that's mainly my life.
That's nice. And David, what are you doing?
Well,
I suppose you're the sound guy.
Yeah, I am. Yes, I do. I actually, I'm working at a bank here in Barcelona, but my work has not very much to do with banking stuff. So I am the communications secretary at a trade union in that company. So I'm always dealing with content management and placing mails and, well, all that stuff. Also making videos and campaigns and, well, communication stuff. I have a degree in communication, audiovisual communication. And, well, I have been working also in radio, doing a program for more than 20 years in a local station here in Barcelona. and lots of other things, music, theater, or whatever comes along.
Excellent. So David will be responsible for our overall sound in the podcast. So if we sound bad, throw the feedback back to to David.
Yes, do that, please.
All right, welcome guys on board. So let's check out what we have in the news for this month. This is, as I said earlier, this is the last podcast before summer. So before we jump into the news section, please stay with us until the end because we are having the premiere in our podcast. And today we will show you, for the first time in Europe, demo of the washing machine Miele WDD131 guideline. It's a special washing machine for the blind designed by Miele, and Tanya will do the demo for us because she purchased the machine. So stay with us until the end and listen to the demo, please. So let's see, what did we prepare?
And now, accessibility in the news.
So the first news comes from Apple, no surprise, as WWDC just got finished last month. Lots of things were shown which were new. Of course, one of many things which were shown were the news in the accessibility. So besides many things which they shown, we could see that some new things got introduced in the iOS 14 beta. For example, VoiceOver got this back tap feature, which I see that many people will use it, and also the possibility of recognizing the objects, and the possibility of sound recognition for people who are deaf or nearly deaf, or it could be also good for deaf-blind people as well. And lots of other things. I think we have some people here who installed some betas on their devices. So how do you do with this version of iOS 14? Do you find it interesting, and what's your opinion?
Well, I would say it's pretty stable.
Yeah,
For a beta, it's pretty stable, actually.
Really?
Yeah, no major crashes. No major crashes that I expected. I don't know about you.
It's pretty stable, and it doesn't crash. But I am finding that the beta is not responding the same in each device, because I'm talking to my colleagues and everyone gets different things in different devices. So I'm not very happy about that. It's stable, but it's different in each device.
For instance, me on the iPod Touch 7th Gen, I don't have the access to all of the features I promised. I believe all the AI related stuff, so recognizing of inaccessible controls or the scanning of a screen to search for something that could be clickable in case the app is completely inaccessible, the back tap, all of that is not available to me on the iPod, and I think it only works from iPhone X up. That's what I read. And even on the iPhone X, I heard already reports that some people can't access all of these features, so it's really strange. But
but do you think that the back tap is AI feature?
No, not really, but I sort of mixed it in the middle with that. But there must be some hardware component that is needed for that, and these older devices don't have it.
Because I have installed the second public beta in an iPhone 8 Plus, and I can't access to the back tap also. So I don't know, because
the
8
SE,
Plus is not so old.
Yeah, the SE also don't have it. SE and the new SE 2020 neither. So it must be some hardware component that is only available on the newer.
Yeah, because the SE20 is like the 8 Plus, no? Or, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there are some even accessibility bugs also, because I have installed this beta, and for example, in the accessibility, in the settings, you've got edit box to search, and when I write text to search, the results are not spoken by VoiceOver. So I get button 1 of 6, button 2 of 6, and button 3 of 6. So I can't identify which are the results I'm getting. So I have to enter in each of the results without knowing where I'm going to. So it's not that it's unstable, but that of course it's a beta, and it has to be still get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, by all means. I also believe there is still this long-standing bug that people are longing for it to be fixed. That it's not always when you press the power button that you hear the time announced.
Oh yeah, that's
some
horrible.
devices it's still there. It used to work as expected. In iOS 13 something it got broken and it's still not fixed. I used a lift to activate, like when I grab my phone, it awakes, so then I can hear the time. But those who activate it manually with the power actually have a problem there, and I know it's not been fixed for like a long time.
Ooh, that's not nice.
And
Yeah.
I had many expectations with the app library, because this is a thing that came from Android, and the implementation they have done in iOS 14, it's not a good implementation, because in Android you've got a very plain library you can organize in folders and as you want, and here they automatically distribute applications in folders. And for example, I got a utility folder with 45 applications, and that's not very useful, because they join applications that have nothing to do with each other. So because something like an app library would be very easy to access for blind people, actually. Many times it would be more useful than all the screens spread over the home screen in the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But the implementation they have done is not very useful, actually.
Okay.
So there are some editing options there. You can actually somehow move the things, but I don't know how advanced that would be and to what degree you can customize this experience.
Not a high degree of customization, actually. So it's not. I have been experimenting with that, and it's not a good implementation. I think that's my opinion.
Well, we will see. I mean, I suppose that some things might, as it's always the case with, betas and stable releases, maybe some things come and go. So, yeah.
Hopefully.
What about the voice-over recognition new features? What's your opinion about it? Have you tested, and what do you think about it?
I think that it's got much better than it did in iOS 13, but of course this will grow up as experience goes on. It's better, it tells you more objects, more things, but it's a very difficult thing, actually. So for me, it's still difficult because I haven't had many experiences. I haven't had much time to.
Okay, yeah.
To try.
What gets me worried is the fact that now they're saying that the new voiceover will be able to recognize the other elements of the UI, such as the sliders, buttons, and tables and stuff like that. So what gets me worried is the fact that if this thing proves to be working, let's say, not 70% okay, I'm afraid that we might see the fallback of the developers stop taking care about the accessibility standards because they will think, oh, if this thing can recognize the stuff by itself, by AI, why should I care about the overall accessibility development? And I think this is not proper way to go.
But that's the eternal balance between design and screen readers, because JAWS and NVDA do many intelligent things with tables, for example, in the web, and we think they are responsibility of the designers, that the tables are well designed, and it's not true. It's that screen readers read it in an intelligent way. So it's not true. It's that designers don't do their work. So it's the same thing, actually. Designers have to work better, but it doesn't mean that screen readers don't work to help us in a better experience in navigation, in internet, or even in UIs. So it's the same thing, I think.
I think we also had this discussion back in 2012 when iOS, I believe it was 6 back then, was coming out. And one of the changes was the labeling of buttons. And there were already remarks back then that, well, if we start having this possibility to, and we start labeling the buttons in apps that are not accessible, this will basically give the developers an excuse not to provide accessibility proper. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I guess, well, if somebody's looking for excuses not to do accessibility, they always find them. But if somebody sees the potential and they want to be committed, they will. And also another great point that was raised in the Apple Viz Extra podcast with the representatives of Apple Accessibility was that now the developers can use these new mechanisms to their advantage, and they can use them to identify problems in their own apps. So if they mismanage
correct.
To label a slider, they will see, the AI recognized it as slider. Maybe it's a good idea that I also give it a proper control type. So let's hope it will stay like that more than actually make people lazy about accessibility, pretty much.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, this was just the fact that I started to wonder if this might happen. But of course, all of these changes are here for us to, let's say, help us improve the usage of such technologies. So, let's give a thumbs up for the whole thing regarding the iOS 14.
There is one more thing very interesting, if you allow me.
Go ahead.
This is the possibility of putting labels to the photos, because it wasn't working very well in iOS 13, because you had to do it like you labeled buttons. When you wanted to label a photo, you had to label like you label a button or any control. And now you can put it like a footer text, So this feature allows you to add metadata to the photo, and the photo is visible for blind people, but also visible for anyone who looks at the photo. So if anyone does a photo and puts footer text, a legend, it's a benefit for everyone. And when you export that photo to the Mac, to Windows, to any other computer, the metadata go with the photo. So it's a very nice feature. I have experimented also.
Does it also save as an alternative description? So if you put it on a web page, it will automatically put it in the alt?
Yeah, I haven't tried it. If it's an alternative text, but it's metadata from the photo. So I suppose you could programmatically try to extract this metadata and convert it to alternative text.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm also quite curious what this recognition thing in VoiceOver does to games, like really simple games, because there's these games that are written in Unity, so there are no native controls to grasp. But some of these games are really simple in that you basically tap on things, you tap on buttons. We have this game, which is a quiz game, and we often play it with my family, but the problem is I always need to team up with somebody sighted because there is no way for me to play it independently. And you just use your PlayStation as this big screen on which everybody is watching the progress, and you use your phones to give answers to the questions. And I believe this kind of system would be ideal to recognize the controls there and let me answer the questions or manipulate the game. So I would be really curious to see if that actually makes it possible. That would be great. And well, there are also many really positive changes for Braille users because there is now the auto panning of text if you configure it on a Braille display. I believe you can use the rotor as well to change the output and input tables of your Braille display. And if you are an Apple Watch user, there is also a new WatchOS version available, and you can pair a Braille display with your watch.
Really? Yeah. That's true.
Yeah,
And there is also a
rotor.
rotor for the Watch OS now available as well.
Yeah. I also like the new Siri. The new Siri is quite nice because it doesn't take the whole screen anymore. It just pops up on top of what you're doing. You ask it a question, it tells you what it has to say. It maybe shows you the result somewhere. So when you're swiping to the right or flicking, you'll find the Siri answer past your dock. You can read the answer from the internet or read whatever result it came up with, and you can then either press the listen button to make Siri listen again, or you can press home to make it go away. And I think it's really convenient. It is supposed to answer questions from the internet. Like when you ask it some usual question, it will look for answers on the internet and tell you. It didn't do it for me. I asked it some questions, and the best it did was it returned some Google results.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also lets you...
The worst thing about Siri is its AI system, I think. I mean, Siri is the worst from the three AI systems we have now, Alexa, Google, and Siri. If they make it better, they can compete, but Siri's AI system is quite worse than the other two.
Not smart enough for today's standards.
Yeah.
But at least the interface is quite sleek now, and you can send voice messages with Siri, which is also quite convenient.
Yeah. And now you can say audio messages also. That's very nice. Yeah. That's very nice.
Yeah, and no new languages, sadly. So for those of you who
Actually, all of that rumors which we publicly spoke about a few months ago didn't come to be true at the end.
Not in this version.
Yeah, they were saying that the iOS will become much more open for third-party developers, but it didn't happen.
Yeah,
I really, and I don't think technically it's very difficult because I heard in iOS 7 with jailbreak, I heard a Catalan synthesizer installed. So I don't think it's really a difficult thing.
Yeah.
So it's
at least
time,
not a technical thing.
No, not a technical issue. So it's time for Apple, if they don't want to assume that, it's time for Apple to admit third-party. Well, even in Voice Dream Reader, you can install many voices. So it's time for them to allow other third-party voices and those things.
Sure, yeah. But, maybe we see it some
Someday.
other... in 100 years, maybe.
There's something
Apple
else
still
about
exists and-
iOS 14 and its new magnifying glass. It's a little bit enhanced, although I haven't had the possibility to test it because my iPhone is my work telephone, so I wasn't able to get a beta for testing iOS 14. But from what I've read, the magnifying glass now it's like an app, not like it was before, that you could only access it through the control center. So now it has its own app access. You can access it as an app. And for the program itself, it has less buttons on the screen, so you can have a larger image from what you're looking at. But you have hidden controls that you have to pull up to see. And well, these controls are not very different from the ones you had before. But now you have direct access. Once you pull up that controls, you have direct access to brightness and contrast, and to the light button and to the filters button. You don't have to make so many tabs to find the controls. And you can also, by configuration, set one of these buttons in the main screen with the capture button and the zoom slider button. That's what you have in the home screen from the magnifying glass application.
And one of the things they say you can do now with the magnifying glass is to take some a series of photos, because
Multiple
for example,
pictures.
yeah,
That's it. Because I, for example, I used to use it when I was at a restaurant to read the menu, but not reading the menu directly with the magnifying glass, but taking this capture that it's not recorded in your photo app, your photo library. You take a capture and then you can read the capture that you took. But you could only take one capture. So if the menu has more than one page, you have to then make another capture again. Now you can do multiple captures and read the menu afterwards. That's a good thing. Yes, that's a good thing.
Yeah, you can take...
And also, the application directly enhances the capture you took.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know if it will be the same in iOS 14 or not, but in iOS 13, it takes some time, maybe a second, from when you push the capture button to the moment the capture is made. So if you push you tap the capture button, but you slightly move your telephone, the capture is not well captured. Okay. So let's see how this ends in iOS 14.
Yeah. Well, I think that will also depend on the devices.
Of course.
Yeah,
sure. I mean, an iPhone X. Well, it's not that old, but it's beginning to be.
Well, it's just 2 years old.
Yeah, it's not old.
Yeah,
it's not old.
Yeah, well, 2 years old. That can be some kind of old now. For the rhythm, it grows.
You cannot find the iPhone X anymore in the store. You cannot buy it. So that's too bad. But yeah, we are in the consumer world. So Apple decides what they decide.
That's terrific.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the whole Apple news, the next news, short one, comes from Twitter. And currently it's for the iOS users, because they announced that right now it will be possible to put the audio message inside of your tweet, and this feature will be available just for the iOS users for now. They didn't specify anything when it's coming to the Android, but it looks like that, Twitter is trying to become kind of more possible also like short podcasting platform or whatever, because they're saying now that you are limited to 140 seconds per voice message inside of the tweet. But if you record longer than 140 seconds, then your message goes into the threaded conversation. So the other people can respond and see how it works. Since I don't have Twitter on any of the iOS devices, actually I do have my iPad, but I just use it for my testing purposes. Can't say nothing about it. But I don't know, have some of you tested it out or heard?
I haven't tested it, but there are quite sites about this thing. First of all, this feature can only be made from the official native app of Twitter in iOS. The second thing is that it's not fully accessible because some buttons are not labeled. The third thing is that it records it like a video. So it's not an audio, actually. It's a video, what it records. And there's another last-minute news that says, I've read that Twitter has reopened some APIs for third-party apps.
That's true.
What Twitter closed, but I haven't had the possibility to analyze which APIs are opened, because I actually in iOS, what I use is a mixture of the native Twitter application only for notifications, because I don't like Twitter application actually at all, and I use Twitterific, which is my favorite app actually, because Twitterific allows me to maintain the official chronology, the official timeline, but it doesn't allow me the notifications. But Twitterific is my favorite app. And in Twitterific, at this moment, I can't do the recording.
Yeah. So the thing is about this whole new API for the Twitter is that they reopened the API by basically putting the new version of their API 2.0. And they said that many of the features which didn't work 2 years ago, or which they turned it off, should be back. And I know that they said that they will make it, lots of them will be back for personal use for developers who are making like small, let's say, personal clients. So it might be that we will see some updates in some of our Windows third-party clients, for example, as well. And also the third-party clients such as Twitterific for the iOS. But there were also some other clients as well for the Android. So it's cool to see that Twitter is coming back with some stuff which they took it off. I really was not happy to see that they closed off some of the stuff, because you could really see that especially those third-party clients were very much suffering from lacking of those features. And for example, just having the things as they should be, or even improved, should be very good. So we might see lots of new things coming up in the next few months regarding the Twitter, which is cool.
I understand that a lot of people is taking advantage of audio conversations, for example. And nowadays, lots of people, not only blind people, use audio messages in WhatsApp, and that's a clear factor that audio is increasing. People is increasing its use of audio everywhere, and maybe Twitter has something also like the WhatsApp use of audio messages, but I'm not confident with using audio with Twitter, because when you use WhatsApp with audio messages, you normally speak only to one or maybe more people in a group. But in Twitter, you never know who's gonna listen to you. So
that's correct.
It's a different kind of thing. I mean, maybe you should think better than when you record your WhatsApp audios.
Well, I have seen people using Twitter media to send videos, for example. The International Poetry Day, I saw one of my writers sending her reading of a poem, for example. So this is another possibility. But since Twitter allowed audio sending, I haven't seen but one person sending a message, an audio message. So it's another possibility. Who wants will use it, and who doesn't need it won't use it. It's a possibility. And what we need is that it's accessible, and that's all, I think.
Okay.
Actually, I use Twitter, the native application, and I haven't seen an update for me right now, and I don't see the audio message button.
Okay. So it's probably something.
It's not for everybody. They said next week it's going to be available, but not everybody has it right now.
Okay. I give 100 euros to see that Trump probably has it already, or
probably with that helicopter sound behind him.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe he will start using this feature, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, then I don't know if there is a mute button there, but we will see.
You've got the block button, which is better.
Yeah. But well, that's up to the listeners
Okay.
to decide. Okay, so these are the news from Twitter. Let's see what else do we have. Pavel. Do you know something? Do you know something about Chrome accessibility and the news for the Chrome 83?
Yeah, more about Firefox actually,
Aha.
because Chrome has also released an update, but
They did.
actually 83 and 84.
Yeah,
meanwhile.
actually the 84 is already out, so the 83 is old.
We can't catch up with all the releases.
No, actually they're
But-
too fast, but yeah.
Yeah, but Firefox is also out with their 78. And one thing they definitely fixed, you can check it, for example, on GitHub, where you have huge tables with lots of lines of code. If you have a really big table, it should be more efficient to navigate this with a screen reader. And there are also some fixes to the developer tools. There are some fixes for JAWS with browsing HTML entities. And I think there is going to be much more work now on developer tools in Firefox. They're going to be improved pretty much. And also Thunderbird is out with a new update. And there are some accessibility fixes in many areas, in the message creation window, in the contact and the account list, and so on. So you can look forward to that. And if you are a Windows user, then definitely you'll be happy, because the new 78 version of Thunderbird has the long-awaited feature of hiding Thunderbird into the system tray.
Oh, okay.
So yay to the system tray. That's what I know about this. And regarding Chrome, Mario, do you actually have the release notes somewhere? Because
I do have a list of the release notes, and we will publish it in our show notes, because it's a little bit difficult to find it, what's going on, because it just was released through the various groups and mailing lists. But yeah, it's quite lots of changes which they are doing on the accessibility front towards all the things like the Chrome on Windows and Chrome on iOS and the Android version. So each of the versions has their own changes. One of many which just come to my mind, for example, which are really being improved, is the ARIA support on all of the platforms, especially the Windows one. They also improved a lot their developer tools, which they started improving in the previous versions as well. And they are saying that the possibility of reading the dates and the working with the date picker now on Windows is much better than it used to be. So go ahead and check that out. We will put the link in the show notes. And update your browsers, guys. It's important.
Yeah, especially now that, for example, Firefox is capable of showing you if any of the passwords you saved has been compromised in a database breach of the services that you use. So you can be instantly alerted even by your browser to change your passwords, because maybe your password is in the dump that got leaked out, and maybe you'll be better off changing your password in case somebody should try to see if the same password works with a different service.
Yeah, they say that Safari in iOS 14 will do the same.
That's the wise thing to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing which we have is also a short and sad announcement sad for Bose. I think Bart is going to cry now, because Bart bought the Bose frames. I don't know if some of you guys have it.
No, I don't.
You don't? Okay.
Nope.
Well, then Bart will cry, but cry. And the other people who are listening to us, maybe. But the thing is, it looks like that all of these augmented reality projects are not having the bright future for the moment, because Bose, which was one of the leaders in this augmented sound reality thing, which started 2 years ago, decided to shut down all the projects related to the augmented reality, which means again that one cool thing which they had done with these Microsoft Soundscapes, which worked on the iPhone, will 99% go away. And that's something that will not be supported anymore. And of course, that's a sad thing to see because, well, who knows what will be also the future of the Bose frames as the device itself also, because it was designed also to be something that's used for this augmented reality thing, while it was also accessible for us in the same time. But yeah, that's sad to see that unfortunately some things during all of this COVID crisis are not going well for some manufacturers.
Yeah, the fortunate thing is that the spokesperson who made the announcement, they also said that perhaps they will use parts of this experience and parts of this technology that they developed to power some future projects, maybe smaller scale and maybe not strictly AR related. So maybe nevertheless we'll be able to see some kind of advancements in this area, at least to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the frames are still supported to some extent. At least I heard from somebody who uses them regularly that there was a software update quite recently with some really interesting features. Like, for example, if you're tilting your head left and right, you can change the volume or do something like that. So there are still updates and they're still playing with this. So hopefully, at least those who bought the device can still enjoy the device and the support.
Yeah.
Even though the AR itself is shrinking, yeah.
It's curious because Bose is a big brand. So
it is, yeah.
I don't know who can you be confident in, because you cannot be confident in some little brands, but Bose is a big brand. And I mean, when you buy some Apple device, you can be confident that you're buying something that will last.
Mm-hmm.
But which other brands can be you confident in? So, and moreover, in things that are good for blind people. So you have to think a lot when you're buying things before you buy. Apart from deciding if you want to pay the money they are asking you, you have to evaluate if this thing is going to be lasting the time.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is a thing you have to think of.
That's for sure. I would say that, well, at least that's how I'm doing, is that whenever I'm going to purchase something, whether is it tech or anything I will use, I'm gonna make really extended research about it. Because
yeah, but with tech it seems that it's a more volatile market.
It is, yeah. And the things are changing on the fast pace. So what was working at a certain point tomorrow might not exist anymore, and unfortunately, that's sad to see. But well,
and this is something that is not asked to sighted people to do. This analyzed is something that is not asked to do to sighted people. When someone buys something, they are sure that they're going to be possible to use. They'll be able to use this thing for more time. So we have to analyze things more than sighted people, actually.
Sure, yeah. I mean...
Well, ask all the people who bought the Betamax system in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was a system that collapsed in very few years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they were able to use those tapes for some years. I mean...
maybe, but not to buy movies or whatever. I mean, your system is
yeah, but
it
happens. But it happens less times than it happens to us, actually.
Maybe to blind people,
we are
what
more
happens
exposed.
To blind people is that we are some kind of hungry for help or for technology that helps. That whenever you find a new application, a new
device,
piece of gear that makes something that you wished a long time ago to have, well, you can think, yes, maybe you cannot be confident in that company, but you need that. So I think it's more difficult for blind people also to do that.
True.
We are
and
more
especially-
exposed.
And especially if you don't have enough technical background to do that, you really need to
Yeah.
or read the sites which do the reviews for you, or you need to have some circle of friends who are techie enough who can do good recommendations, because otherwise
That's it.
you can buy the product which eventually might not be what you're looking for.
But that's what we do in our group here in Barcelona. And if someone had asked me, are you confident in Bose brand? I would have said, yes, that's a
Sure,
good
yeah.
brand. That's,
Yeah.
So I would have been wrong.
Well, that's the fact that nobody could predict basically what would happen. This basically all of that thing came just well, let's say overnight.
Yeah.
So it was. I would say that it was the big surprise for all the people who trusted the Bose brand. I mean, I remember myself the story when I was buying my Bluetooth headset for me. So it was like 3 years ago. So I was searching for the Bluetooth headset which would be useful for me, because I wanted to use it for the first thing I wanted to use outside for my navigation on the phone. So I bought the aftershocks, and they work great. The only downside of the aftershocks, which really bothers me as the person who is also working with the audio, is the fact that when you're having any kind of voice call over like Skype or WhatsApp or whatever, your audio sounds like shit through this Bluetooth headset, because the overall Bluetooth compatibility uses the Bluetooth 4.0, and the codecs are really bad ones. You sound like you're speaking through the phone from 100 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's something you will not, or you will rarely find in the reviews. Before I purchased the gadget, I read like, I don't know, maybe 50 reviews about the product on different websites and stuff, and nobody said like, yeah, this is something you should pay attention of. But well, that's the stuff you learn when you buy the product. All right. So after the Bose thing, we can jump into the games, because the company Naughty Dog announced that they made a PlayStation 4 title accessible to the blind and visually impaired community, which for people who are gamers is kind of a big thing. Personally, I was into games 20 years ago, but right now I'm not so much. But I'm sure that there are lots of people still playing around, and as a matter of fact, Xavier and Pavel do have some experiences with this. So what do you have to say, guys?
Come on, Pavel. What have you?
Yeah, I just heard a Let's Play because one of my friends here in Poland, he is really huge into gaming, and he's blind himself, so he always uses the opportunity to play such titles. And I must say it's really impressive what they did, because there are around 50 or 60 options just for accessibility.
Yeah, 60.
Yeah, so no matter what kind of adjustments you need, you will find the option for it. The whole menu, all the menus, all the texts that you need to read, everything is synthesized. I don't know the synthesizer it comes with. It must be something they made, because it cracks up in a lot of places. For Polish, this is a female voice. I don't know about other languages. But the funny thing it does is it tries to pronounce the English names properly, even with the proper accent. So in the middle of your own language, you will probably hear an imitation of English accent, which is really, really funny with synthesizer. It's sort of accurate, but you can hear it synthesized. It's really interesting feeling. But you can do everything. You can go through the menus, you can read the notes that you find along the way, because just to set you in the action, this is post-apocalyptic world we're talking about, and you are actually, there are a couple of plots that you play, so you are more than one character within this plot, but basically you're in a sort of station that is I think responsible for those who are left behind, and so that the whole world as it is can survive further. And there are people infected with a virus. Sounds familiar?
Okay.
Except these people, if they bite you, they probably will kill you. This is some kind of zombie variation. So you have to be really careful out in this world. And, well, you basically perform different tasks, to keep the humanity going, to upkeep the stations, the posts, to check if there are any infected people who could be dangerous to the rest of the population. And there is a plot, there is an actual story that is going on, so not to give you too many spoilers. You will have a lot to discover. But as you could already guess, there are plenty of fighting scenes. There is plenty of climbing, collecting items, looking for some proofs and looking for some hints to solve some kind of riddles. So there is a lot of reading, there is a lot of walking, crawling, crouching, fighting, and in this fighting you actually get to beat the characters in different parts of the body, either the head or the chest, so you have to be really precise. And they managed to sort of convey it. There are some audio clues, for example, when you're navigating. There is a special mode in which you can hear the sounds from all around when you, for example, find an item to pick up. It makes a sound, you can approach it, and you can pick it up. And also you can hear the audio beacons for when you have to go somewhere. So in some parts, I could tell that the game is sort of making the choices for you. It lets you be guided on the right way. So if you are really touchy about this, you might feel that the game sort of plays itself for you. But nevertheless, you actually have to distinguish when you need to crouch more or when you can fully stand up and go further when you straighten up. And this mechanics is actually presented quite well. If you have a gamepad with vibration, with haptics, this is good as well, because some of the clues are indicated by vibration. I think there is a scene where you have to play the guitar, and by vibration you can somehow determine if you're plucking the right chords. Of course, if you collect some notes, like the pages of a diary, they are read out to you with the synthesizer. There is a lot of help given to you, which buttons you have to press in order to achieve what exactly. There are even some tips given as to how to approach certain mechanics if you're blind. So the game is really playable, and this friend of mine was able to carry on hours and hours worth of Twitch streams. So definitely it's playable, and you can probably also finish it. But what I found, for example, missing is audio description for cutscenes and for any kind of activity where you don't really play. You just observe what's happening. The characters are talking to each other, but they are relying on visual clues that they see, and you don't know what's going on because there is no audio description track given for these scenes, which I find pity. But other than this would be in my opinion the biggest drawback. But other than this, I could see that the person playing was having a lot of fun with this, and I see a lot of people are really grateful to Naughty Dog that they did this. And I hope it will also extend to the new PlayStation 5, because as far as I know, accessibility on PlayStation 4 is there, so you can get some text-to-speech for the menus of the console, but only if you are using the American firmware and only in English. So if you use anything else than that, I think even if you use British firmware, you don't get these TTS options. So I really, really hope this will change in PS5.
Yeah, that's you have said many things I wanted to say. One of the drawbacks that it's not from Naughty Dogs is this, that you don't have really accessibility, at least for totally blind people. You don't have really accessibility in PS4, because I have tried it, and you don't have TTS unless you are in American firmware. You have zoom capabilities. You can maximize the screen. You can do zoom. You can do screen contrast, high contrast, some things, but not TTS. So the problem is the first configuration. You need sighted assistance. So once you've done it, you can access easily if you learn the way to the game. So if you know you have to press twice down and one to the right, you can arrive to the game. You can play it, and the game.
But this is only helpful until something like an update comes and a new screen appears and you don't see what's happening.
Yeah, true.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
Perhaps. The game is playable but not fully accessible. You need what Pavel has said. You would need audio description. And what I'd like to say is that this game is not only accessible but inclusive, because accessibility is not only for blind people, it's also for deaf people, because you can have light notifications, and also for motor disabilities. So they have done a good job, and it would be nice that more companies would help with this. And my expectations are also for PS5. So I will start playing. I was not very convinced, but I would start playing. I'm not a gamer right now, but this is very. I'm very enthusiastic about these solutions for accessibility by accessibility. Not because it's a game, but I want to try this thing. And if I get tired of this, I suppose that my son will continue. So I want to see how it is, actually. I feel like very much trying this game, actually.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't mind spoilers, I think there are plenty of gameplays done by blind gamers in English. Liam Irvin or Brandon Cole, to name a few.
Yeah.
So do have a look, and you can also, even if you don't plan to buy.
I have seen gameplays, I have seen gameplays.
Yeah. So let me just clarify that you were saying that in order to have the TTS available, you would need to have the firmware for the US PlayStation. Is that
for PlayStation menus, not for the game? The game can speak anywhere. Yeah, but in broader sense, if you want to use PlayStation alone without any sighted assistance, you would need the American firmware for now. Yeah.
Okay. So,
but in the game, it's separate.
And even with that, the accessibility is not so good, because, for example, with the accessibility activated, you cannot access all the menus. You can only access the accessibility menu, but not all the configuration menus. So, well, it's a very poor. There's a YouTube channel called Illegally Sighted.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite to Legally Blind. It's a very nice title. Yeah. and this guy is partially sighted. Is illegally sighted. So he has done demos on. He's American, and he has done demos of the PlayStation accessibility, and he couldn't enter many of the menus. But, well, it was nice to see what menus he could enter. I don't know if you can change the firmware of the PlayStation. If you have an European firmware, I don't know if you can change the firmware easily, or if it's not an illegal thing. I don't know. So it would be nice to experiment the accessibility. But I hope PlayStation 5 has better accessibility, and because I have seen even people who installs Linux in a PlayStation 4. So some things may be done. I don't know if it's normal or if it's easy.
I think this is homebrewing already. This is homebrewing.
Yeah.
This is like dark territory where you install unofficial things on your PlayStation. This has been going on for ages.
But changing the firmware may be an official thing also.
I'm not sure.
I don't think so because they do that. So you can only have games of your region. They have different regions, and you can only load games of your region. So officially, there would be no use in changing your firmware. So maybe you can do it like you do this homebrewing.
Okay, yeah,
but not officially.
Well, don't mind. I suppose I won't do it.
I mean, it's just, it reminds me of the whole thing when DVDs were still accurate, where you would not be able to watch certain things because they were designed for different region, so you wouldn't be able to watch whatever you
for
wanted.
PlayStation, I suppose there are 6 regions also. I don't know. I don't know exactly, but it's a difficult thing. So let's stay without TTS in Europe.
Yeah, which sucks. But so I suppose that then this friend of yours, Pavel, who made that playing demo, he had this American TTS installed. I mean, American server.
First of all, he had some sighted assistance.
Okay.
Second of all, he's the sort of person who learns menus layouts by heart.
Okay.
Because he played really old consoles and stuff. But thirdly, I think it was fairly easy to activate the TTS on the game directly once you loaded the game. So I think it's just, I don't remember the procedure anymore, but he explained it to me, and you just needed to press the right buttons on the pad and it would work. So in the game itself, it's not that hard. But I know that for backup, he always has somebody sighted to help out.
Yeah.
Well, overall, it's good to see that, you know, the things are improving in terms of the accessibility gaming. Well, it definitely isn't perfect, but we are moving forward because we can see that the mainstream titles are starting to be, let's say, adjusted for visually impaired community, and that's nice. Okay, so after the PlayStation 4, we can jump into the other mobile OS territory. Speaking of the Android 11, which should come out soon. There are rumors and indications that possible date for Android 11 is September 8th, though it's not being confirmed by Google yet, but on some websites and in some changelogs, it's possible to see that it could be released on the September 8th. And one of the things which is really important to Android 11 is the fact that we were talking about this earlier in the podcast, not this episode, but a few episodes back, are the huge news for the users of the assistive technology. And now we can see that those things are coming along. Google was supposed to do this big event at the beginning of June with the Android beta announcement, but because of the whole COVID situation, it got postponed, but Google kind of quietly launched that Android 11 beta, so now the Pixel users mostly, and users of some other devices such as some OnePlus devices and few others are able to install the beta and see how the stuff is working, or better to say not working for the moment. But the overall changes and improvements for the accessibility, especially multi-finger gestures and what we were speaking before, are coming along, and now you can already see them in the Android 11. There is this one of the podcasts called Anatat that speaks about it, and they kind of demonstrate it for the people how it's supposed to be looking. There are some other things as well, right, Pavel?
Yep, minor compared to the multi-finger gestures, but nevertheless useful. One I personally find a really genius idea, because this could have come so much earlier, but because it's a really simple concept, it's one of the new talkback actions that you can use when you assign the gestures, which is simulation of the multimedia button. And the multimedia button is the tiny button that you probably find on most of the remote controls of your headphones. And if you know which one that is, you probably know how powerful it could be, because it can play audio, stop playing audio, it can pick up or hang up the calls, it can activate or deactivate some push-to-talk modes in some messaging apps, it can let you do do so much more. Every app that uses it can actually configure its own actions. Even some apps for the blind, for example, the dot walker navigation that I use, it has a configurable action under this multimedia button, from like voice assisted commands to some information on your route progress and so on. And this is the Google's answer to the magic tap of the iPhone, so double tap with 2 fingers. And from what I heard in the Anatat podcast, it worked okay. And I'm really, really looking forward to this because it will make a lot of operations really easy.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing that came, and I find it really, really nice, especially if you were to help somebody sighted with their phone, is that now the accessibility shortcut, so the both volume buttons held down, will also work from the lock screen. And
okay.
I really, I think it's really good because, sometimes there is this relative or friend of yours who will ask you for some advice with their phone because something is not working. And, it's best if you can take a look at it and go and fix it. And, before we had to actually ask people to go to the settings, to turn on TalkBack, to do something else. And now I'm really happy to see also, even with this kind of manufacturers who provide custom UI for the Android, that this shortcut is not being disabled. So even if I pick a Huawei phone, for example, the one that still had Android, you could hold it down and TalkBack would come up and I could do it easily. But in order to do that, I needed to have the phone unlocked, which in most cases, of course, would be okay. But sometimes there are these kind of phones that you use together with somebody who is sighted, or sometimes you would like to help somebody or use somebody's phone for a bit because yours is, I don't know, flat on battery or broken, or you just found a phone somewhere and you would like to return it to the owner. And unless you got some help to unlock it or to do something else about it, you couldn't use it. And now you can turn on TalkBack anywhere and you can unlock it and then proceed. So I think it's a really great enhancement.
True. Yeah, absolutely. But in order to do that, you need to have the phone which will be Android 11 compatible. That's the
true.
thing to remember. And
that's the main problem, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's difficult because this is this eternal Android legend that if you get a phone, especially the cheaper phones, 1 to 2 updates is the maximum you'll get. There are some really exceptional manufacturers who provide 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And so unless you are into going into custom ROMs and flashing unofficial software and so on, you're pretty much out of accessibility enhancements, because some of them actually come in form of API changes which are on the system level. So there is nothing Google can do to bring it officially to you. And that is the problem with Android in a lot of cases, because then even TalkBack after some versions loses support for these older operating systems.
Yeah.
Because which phone do you have actually now, Pavel?
Me, it's a Motorola One, and unfortunately, I don't think I'll get the Android 11. I don't know this for sure, but I think we started with 8. I got the 9, I got the 10, and I think that will be it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm also on the Android. I'm still on Android 8, but the fact is that I have it's called rugged device, basically. It belongs to the group of rugged devices, and the thing about the whole concept of having an Android rugged device is that 95% of them are not receiving regular updates for the newer versions of the software. So the thing is that, for example, my phone has Android 8.1, and it will stay probably that way until my phone doesn't go dead, or if I don't buy the new one. And since, for example, these changes that are coming along in the Android are really huge ones, we haven't seen such big changes in the last 5 to 6 years, I will wait until the official release of the Android 11 is being launched, and I will wait for a few more months to see how everything works, and then I'll see what I can purchase from the newer devices, because I wanna have the device which is ready for that.
Okay.
The thing is that I was waiting to see how it will be with the Pixels, because Google was supposed to launch this Pixel 4a, but it got postponed once and then twice, and then now it's uncertain when is it coming out. Now they're saying that it should be in October. But overall, when you compare the overall features that the phone will have, okay, it will not be 5G compatible, which, yeah, if we speak about having the device which should last like 3 years or so or more, it should be nice feature to have, so some newer device that it's 5G compatible.
Oh yeah, yes.
But okay, it's not the main thing which bothers me, but what bothers me really is the fact that the whole Pixel devices are having a weak battery, and that's one of the things which I really find irritating in the phone in general. Like if you can have 3 million of good features in the phone, but if the battery is weak, what do I have to charge the phone twice a day just to keep it running? It doesn't make sense.
I agree with you.
So,
battery is basic.
Yeah. So yeah, we will see how the stuff comes along, but yeah, it's cool to see that, you know, the things are going forward to the Android. I am hoping that Google will release some, probably Pixel 5 this year, so we will see how Pixel 5 will compare to all the requirements of the market and how it will work. Because the thing is that really the accessibility on the Android side really came along a lot, and it's coming along finally a lot comparing to the iOS. So basically right now, if you're purchasing the device, it's really like we are coming to the point where it's a personal choice of the person to decide what do you want to have. It's no longer required for a person to use the iOS device if you don't want to. But yeah, we will.
It's a good thing, of course, to be able to choose.
Of course, having a choice.
Always.
Having a choice is good. I mean, especially if we are talking about the assistive tech, there are people who like to have multiple TTS engines installed on their phone, and by default on Android that's possible. That works.
Yes.
And on the iOS you are just stuck with what you have, basically. So if some of the languages are not supported, then well, better luck in few years. But
yeah, in few years.
yeah, so we will see how the stuff goes, but let's hope that the Android 11 comes out on September 8th, and that newer Pixels, actually they're saying that Pixels starting from Pixel 2 and upwards should be all compatible for it. So we will see how it will go. Though I have to say that I don't know, Pavel, if you saw this info on the list, I read the information that Google is planning to actually starting to lock down the Android, so you will not be able to install the alternative ROMs anymore.
Yeah, they're planning, and at least it was spotted that they might be introducing a hardware lock on this kind of operations. And I think there were also some rumors that it will be much more difficult to install external apps from APK files. There will be some kind of segregated memory. They'll be somehow sandboxed, so they don't have access to the same partition as the ones installed from Google Play. But I don't know the details yet, so I would hold off until with any kind of remarks. But it might be that they're going more into the closed, which would be not so nice, because that's why we chose Android, over iOS. And now they're exactly turning making a U-turn and going the other direction. So
yeah, but time will tell.
Yeah, for sure.
We will see how it will be. Okay, so that was the news about the Android thing, and next thing which we have are the news from the screen reader manufacturers for Windows. So NVDA and JAWS, they both have new updates. The NVDA is currently on the RC1 for the 20
20.2.
20.2, yeah, release. And JAWS is up to the June update at the last for JAWS 20. So yeah, each of them they have their own news. What's going on in the changelog? Pavel, you got some info.
Yeah, in JAWS we have some improvements in the Braille viewer. The Braille viewer lets a sighted person view the text as its output to the Braille display. And I think they now introduced the actual dot representations of the Braille characters, and there is even a live simulation of a Braille display on the screen, which adapts to the kind of Braille display you have. So if it's a 40, it will show a 40 on the screen. If it's 80, it will show the 80 on the screen.
Sounds familiar.
And if it's yeah, I think the text editor, there is also a text viewer, which is sort of similar. But yeah, the Braille viewer is there on the screen, and if it's disconnected, then it's 40 by default, because these would be like the most common display sizes that people get. So that's I think the only change in JAWS really. And regarding NVDA, there is support added for a couple more apps. There is support for the Windows Terminal, the new Windows Terminal, which is a tabbed interface that you can, I think, get from the Microsoft Store, or it will come with one of the Windows updates, which is cool if you administer a couple of servers at once, because then you can switch them in tabs and have a look at all of your sessions from one window. But also there is a support added for the Asset products, so Asset Antivirus and Asset Internet Security.
I was surprised actually to see that. I didn't use the Asset product for like 5-6 years for sure. And I was like thinking like, okay, does people still use them? But eventually they are.
And here I would recommend you to read the GitHub ticket that is attached to the changelog entry, because it's not that easy to install it. On one side, NVDA got a module that I think was even written by the people from Asset. But in order to make it work, you have to go on the Asset website. Everything is given in the ticket body. And download an entry that you need to add to your database of viruses or install together with the Asset. Because otherwise, the antivirus will think that NVDA is a virus, because it's trying to intercept the keys. And in order to basically make it possible for NVDA to navigate Asset, you need to install this exception to the rule and allow the keyboard input to go through. Okay. So I know it's not a straightforward procedure, but at least it's there. There is also support for Natic Braille displays. Natic is a company from, I believe, United Arab Emirates, which they make a sort of note takers for the blind, which are based on Windows computers. And you can choose the parameters of this computer.
They're like these modular devices that you can choose which kind of specs do you want and what kind of cells and stuff. Yeah.
And they have their own Braille displays to go with them, so that's why the new driver. And other than that, there are some new keyboard shortcuts to open, for example, the config folder, to see the currently active profile, and so on and so forth. There is a fix for 1Password, the famous password manager. And plenty of bug fixes, so if you haven't updated yet, either go ahead and take the RC1.
Yeah, or you can wait a few more weeks and get the official 2020.2 when it comes out, because it will come. It will come soon.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so these were the news from the screen readers. And the last thing for today, before our demo, that's the premiere thing which we will have in our podcast. And I'm sure that many people will be curious to see what's going on. But before that, just a short announcement that now it's possible to make the WhatsApp audio and video calls from the Google Assistant on your phone. So if you're having a Google Assistant, you can now give a simple command and it will respond. I tried it also on Google Home. It doesn't work, so it just works on the phone. Because if you give the same command on Google Home, it will activate Duo. So it's not working. It's just working on the smartphone. But yeah, overall, if you want to use the WhatsApp with the set of audio navigation, audio spoken commands, you can do that. There will be a link for that in the show notes. Thankfully, we came to the end of our show. What we have is a premiere for you of the demo for the Miele washing machine. It's a washing machine. The model is called WDD131 guideline. That's the special washing machine designed for blind and visually impaired people. And Tanya, who is not in the podcast for us today, will do the demo because she got the machine. And yeah, I am really looking forward to see and hear how the device looks and feels and how it sounds.
Demo time. Time for a demonstration.
Hello. In this demo, I will present you the washing machine that was specifically designed for visually impaired users from Miele. The model is WDD131 WPS guideline. If you're not familiar, Miele is a German manufacturer that manufactures high-quality domestic appliances, and they are tested to last 20 years. Miele appliances are pricey, including this washing machine that costed me around 1,000 euros, but you pay off with the time, because the experience that I heard from other people that bought Miele appliances is that you don't need reparations in the long run, at least 10-15 years, because of a great quality. This special washing machine features tactile markings and a touchscreen sensor with acoustic indicator. This machine does not have any braille signage, which is understandable because if you think some people do not read braille, especially people who start to lose their sight at a later age. With the machine, you also receive the audio guide in DAISY format on a USB stick in different languages. The audio guide serves to get you familiar with the washing machine, but is not as detailed as the operating instructions that you may find on the internet in PDF format that you can also read in addition to the audio guide. The audio guide is done especially for visually impaired users, which means that when you receive the machine at home, you don't need to ask anyone to show you the buttons and the functions on the control panel, which is great because you can be fully independent. This is not a smart machine that you would use with your mobile application, but everything is built in. Unfortunately, it does not speak, but as soon as you learn all the functions with the audio guide, you are 99% independent. Why I say 99%? Because if there is an issue and you cannot look on the screen, then you need to ask someone or call Be My Eyes or ask a sighted person what is happening actually, because the screen is not spoken. Nevertheless, I think for the quality, as Miele is a very known manufacturer for high quality domestic appliances, it is great that they decided to design a washing machine especially for visually impaired persons with the same quality that they do for the other machines, and also by using the same system that they're already using, like the acoustic indicators or touch sensors. So the washing machine can take up to 8 kilograms of dry clothes, and the door is in the front. On the control panel, you can find raised dots and embossed lines, symbols that indicate programs and program parameters. So now I am in front of the machine. If I am touching from the right front of the machine, first I have the round program selector for selecting 12 washing programs. The selector features a notch where you can feel where the selector is positioned. The off setting is at 12 o'clock on the top, and you can feel that off is indicated with a circle. All other programs are indicated with a dot, and also the selector will stop at each program. When you select one of the programs, the greeting sound from the washing machine will start. I will show you now. I will turn the round selector to the first program on the left, which is Echo. And this is the greeting sound. I can turn for one more program. It will not make any further sound, but it is clear now that I'm on a second washing program because the indicator is showing that I selected the second dot on the left. There are 6 dots on the left and 6 dots on the right to show 12 programs. And if I want to turn back the selector, it will also make a sound that is turned off. Let me tell you what are the 12 washing programs. The first program is Echo. I will turn the selector for one more program further to the left, which is Cotton. You have also for each program factory parameters like temperature, spin speed, and extras that you can also change on the control panel by using touch sensors that I will explain in a few seconds, but I can tell you what are the other washing programs on this machine. The next one on the left, third, is minimum iron. Fourth one on the left, delicate. Fifth one, woolen. And sixth one for shirts. I don't know if you can also hear from my mic, when I turn to the next program, it makes a click. So it's a standard selector, but you can feel really clearly when you turn to the next program, which is very convenient. I will switch back the selector to the 12 o'clock position to turn it off and tell you what are the programs on the right. It greeted me, and the first one is Express, a very short program. Second one on the right is for dark garments and jeans. Third one on the right, outwear. Fourth one on the right, proofing. Fifth one on the right is drain and spin, which is a very short one, 12 minutes. And the sixth one on the right is separate rinse and starch. What is really nice on this machine is that you can easily adjust all the program parameters like temperature, spin speed and extras without any issues, which very often is not so easy on standard machines. What makes this washing machine special is not only that it has tactile markings, but it gives you audio feedback, which makes it different from ordinary machines that you may adapt. You may attach tactile markings, but you don't receive the feedback, so you can easily make a mistake. I'll try to describe you how it looks like. From the selector, you have tactile line that guides you from number 9, if you imagine the clock, to the left towards the control fields. And the first buttons that you can touch, these are not really buttons, these are touch sensors, but they're all indicated with tactile markings. And the first one is a start, like a circle. And around it you can touch some dots that prevent you to touch the start unintentionally. Above you have the delay function, if you want to delay starting of the washing from 1 hour up to 7 hours. The delay function has a shape of a diamond, and on the left and the right you have a dot on which you can touch and you will change the parameters. For example, I will touch the diamond to activate it. On the right I will increase. So the first one was 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, 5, 6, and 7. If I want to decrease the hours, I will touch the dot on the left. And I can deactivate it by touching again the diamond. If I continue to go on the left of the tactile line, there are 4 different columns showing temperature, spin speed, extras, and cup dosing. Starting from the left, you have a vertical column with 6 options for temperature. Starting from the bottom, first you have the indication of the symbol that you can touch so that you know what you're selecting. The temperature is indicated with the symbol plus. Going up, you have the first option under temperature, which is cold. The sound is lower, 20 degrees, a little bit higher, 30, 40, 60, 90. The column on the right that is separated with a vertical line is indicated with a circle. Again, on the bottom, you can touch the representation of a circle that will not make any sound. But if you go above, you will find the first option, no spin, rinse hold, 600, 900, 1200, 1400. The next one on the right is for extras, that is represented with a minus symbol. 4 different extras. The first option is for soaking, that is represented as a tap of water. Pre-wash, wavy horizontal line. Water plus, represented with a plus. Short, represented with double arrows to the right. Each of the extras you can also select and deselect. 1 beep means select, and 2 quick beeps means deselected. The 4th column is for the special Miele cup dosing system, represented by a rectangular. You have 3 options for detergent, additives, or softener. They're very convenient if you don't feel comfortable using liquid detergents or powder, but personally I don't use them, so I cannot tell you my experience, but this is an option that may simplify your washing. On the left we have the detergent drawer, on which you can touch embossed Miele letters, and when you open it, the first section that is covered and that you can open is for the capsule or for the softener. So I'll close it back. On the left, you have a bigger section that is for the detergent for the main wash, and on the right, the smaller section for the detergent for the pre-wash. As I open the drawer, I will put the liquid detergent because I prefer the liquid one. Okay, I will close the drawer. I will close the door of the washing machine. That closes very easily. I will activate the washing program. Following the line from the selector until the break of the line. Above it, I can find the small dots that guide me to the start that I will press now. The door has been locked. Now, after a few seconds, the washing will start. When the wash cycle is finished, the machine will alert you with the audible sound. After the washing program ends, the anti-crease phase is switched on for 30 minutes to prevent creasing of the clothes, and the drum will continue to turn. What this means for us is that the door is still locked, and I will be able to unlock it by touching the start. You could hear the double audio beep, and when I touched the start for the second time, the door has been unlocked, and I can open the door of the washing machine and turn back the selector to 12 o'clock position.
Yeah, I think we are one of the first podcasts overall that will have the possibility of reviewing such products, because there were some other podcasts which were saying that they will do the demo, but they didn't do it yet. So I'm really curious to see the feedback after that from our listeners. We are available as always on our Twitter, which got occupied, and our mailbox is getting busy as well, which is nice to see. We will be away for a month, so we are going to have a summer break because we all need it. So in August there will be no Ebu Access Cast, but we will be back with new and old faces in September. So until next time, have a good vacation, stay safe because the COVID crisis is still going on, and yeah, we are seeing some eventual local lockdowns again and new measures appearing. So wear the masks, wash your hands, and stay safe. And until next time, bye-bye.
Goodbye. See you.
Thank you for listening. This has been EBU Access Cast.